why we aim to unlock the doors of opinion, unveiling the stories that need to be told. The Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we invoke the thought-provoking discussion, tackle the tough questions, challenge assumption, and give a voice to the unheard. This is the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Welcome on board the Morning Express.
Good morning.
Knowledge is power. Information is key, and that is why we aim to unlock the doors of opinion, unveiling the stories that need to be told. The Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we invoke the thought-provoking discussion, tackle the tough questions, challenge assumption, and give a voice to the unheard. This is the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Welcome on board the Morning Express.
Good morning.
Good morning, welcome to Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. It's a Thursday, the 12th day in the month of March 2026. And just like that, the month is galloping ahead. Rather speedy 2026, if you ask me. Perhaps it is something of a psychological game. Because of the expectations of the year 2027, we seem to be counting the days rather faster, or we have the impression that the days are going ahead faster. But no issues. We're ready, we're prepped for all the many events that will trail the year 2027. In fact, the many that are already trailing the year 2026. Barely 3 months into the year, and we've almost lived experiences that can last us for the next 80 years. But brace up, there's more to come, and you would need all of your strength. Hopefully, in the midst of all of this, some level of respite is offered to us. My name is Sage Babalola. If you're just listening to this platform for the first time, you're very welcome. It's Mainland 98.3 FM. We have a big enough compound to accommodate every single one of you, so welcome. And for those of you who are ardent listeners who have in one way or the other become a member of the family, we hope that you continue to find reasons to stay with us and engage with us, and continue to use your resources, right, to uplift this station so we can all do amazing things with each other. Welcome to the Morning Express. This is the 4-hour session where we talk news, we do analysis, we tell you what's going on in the business world, amongst other things. The different segments that constitute the Morning Express. We're about to get into one at this moment. It's called Trends in the Papers, and like the name suggests, we're basically looking at our dailies, our newspapers if you like, and we're talking about the stories that have made it to the front covers. What have our editors considered or deemed worthy enough to populate the front cover of our pages? We'll tell you what it is. Fouad's our in-house analyst. Now he will be providing for us analysis to these reports. So it's not just about reading the headline to you, it's also about opening up the conversation, telling you what's hidden in the paragraphs, referencing the stories that have happened before it. If it's a developing story, casting your mind back so you're able to consolidate those thoughts in your mind. Let's go straight into the papers. We'll start with the Vanguard newspaper this morning. But before we do that, please do not forget that we're live on Facebook and on YouTube. So please do well to join our online community on there, Facebook, YouTube. That's how you find us. Join the live stream and use the live chat option. Today's Open Mic Thursday, so it's the best day for you to actually maximize that option that's available on our Facebook platform, because we double back and read some of the interactions that are on there when we eventually start to take phone calls. Fouad, good morning to you. How are you today? I'm well, thank you so much for asking. Let's get straight into it. We have the Vanguard newspaper. That's what we would start with today. And it's an update on the war in the Middle East and the consequences that it posed for us here in Nigeria. The Vanguard newspaper is reading here, Middle East Middle East war. Despite Dangote refinery price cut, petrol is still 1,300 per litre. That is the Vanguard report. We have a few riders. Depot price ranges from 1,190 and 1,200 per litre. Transporters, commuters, others lament high fuel prices. So, the body of the story. Despite the reduction of Dangote Petroleum Refinery gantry price by 100 naira, due to the drop in crude oil price to $88 per barrel from $110 per barrel in the global market, oil marketers are yet to reduce price at filling stations. The ongoing war involving the United States, Iran and Israel led to a shutdown of oil installation and blockade at the Strait of Hormuz, culminating in reduced oil supply to the international market. Now, the Vanguard had checked that a few retail outlets had reduced their prices. However, independent marketers are continuing to leave the price at 1,300, 1,400, 1,500. Vanguard also had a conversation with oil users, of course, and consumers, and many of them are lamenting that they've seen in the news that the crude price had been reduced, but independent marketers are insisting on selling at the same price it was when crude was selling at about $100, $119 per barrel. Now, my guest yesterday, Fᴏᴜᴜ, said that oftentimes, these marketers do not want to take the risk because of the volatility and the uncertainty regarding crude prices. Even when the price goes down, they maintain their current price because they do not know if the price is going to go up again. So they're playing a safe game. Whether or not it continues to decrease or it goes back up, at the end of the day, they would still be able to maintain their profit margin. Obviously, a system he thinks is extremely flawed, is selfish, and it's just a disrespect to the Nigerian people and those who consume their product. But that's it for the complaints that crude price has gone down. Even Dangote has reduced, but independent marketers continue to sell for 1,300 to 1,500.
Well, this is what you get in a very volatile economic situation or market situation when prices are very unstable. You know, you wake up today, the price regime, tomorrow something happens, and as a marketer, sometimes you want to be a bit understanding. You know, you want to try and understand with them that, look, you are not even sure of anything. The only problem is that, look, when the price goes up, they don't wait. They don't check anything. They just go up with the price, and you know, makes a lot of fortune from the misery of Nigerians. You know, but when prices come down, you see them, you know, holding on, wasting time to adjust their prices, and the excuse is always that, oh, okay, we are not sure whether the thing will go up again, so we want to be very careful, and all of that. So when disruptions like this happen, it's just one of the things that the people will have to suffer from. It's going to happen. Just trust me, it's going to happen. But time when there's stability, of course, everyone will adjust because of competition. I've seen quite a few petrol stations now, the major marketers say they've all reduced their prices. At least it's now around 1,120 naira per litre. But if you look at the story very well, Sage, most of the people that they are talking about in the story are the small marketers, the independent marketers. And those are the ones who are still maintaining the price regime of about 1,250 to 1,003, which was the price when crude oil was at $100 per barrel. But they will eventually come down. But it's just that, again, we don't really have any consumer protection agency that does a swift job when it comes to things like this. And it might be difficult in a very volatile market where prices are not stable. You know, it's almost like a daily thing. You have to check and recheck again to know what the price is saying. If you understand what I'm saying. So these are the things we'll face for the meantime. We don't know when the war would end. But so long the war continues, I think Nigerians have to brace up for these kinds of things. It's just what it is. Because again, if you ask the marketers who are doing it, they will tell you, we have to stock, we have to restock.
Yeah.
And when we are going to buy again, we are going to be buying at the new price. So where would the margin come from? So we just have to be a bit careful. So that was what your guest was trying to explain. But again, it still does not justify the fact that, when prices go up, they are quick to adjust. But when it comes down, you see them dragging. They are very sluggish. Sometimes they wait for a week or two, make money from desperate buyers, before they adjust their prices downwards.
Fuad, I think we might need to even pay more attention to this advice of bracing up, because Iran is insisting that no liter of oil will cross Hormuz. In fact, they're advising countries to prepare for $200 per barrel. Remember that Trump has said that they're actually going to test this blockade by Iran. Let's see if we can escort vessels transporting the commodity. But Iran is saying you are not going to go through. We can assure you that much, and countries should start to prep for $200 per barrel. So I recently this morning just discovered that we even have an international energy agency, and there are about 32 countries there. I had no idea that this agency existed until this morning whilst I was studying. I saw. So there's an international energy agency. 32 countries are part of that agency, and they're saying they're going to, I think, about 400 billion in their reserve. It's a million or billion now. I can't clock it. I'll check the paper. Million, yes, of their reserve. So member countries will be able to benefit from that until the situation has reached a resolution. I don't believe Nigeria is a part of that agency, so I don't believe that we would enjoy from this benefit. But it just speaks to preparation for bad days. Why is it that Nigeria does not seem to have any preparations or any insulation from global issues like this one? And many other countries have been thinking ahead. Nobody wants a war to happen, but it seems like in the midst of this chaos, there are countries who are prepped to at least cater to their people whilst a solution is in the works.
Those are countries with forward-thinking leaders. Those are countries who understand that these things can happen. The US, for example, as one of the biggest crude oil reserves in the world, despite being an oil producing nation too. So why do you see them going after crude oil from any part of the world? They keep keeping it because they know that there will be a time that these things will happen, and they have to find a way to insulate themselves from this global shock and disruption. So they prepare for it. You see that Donald Trump is already talking about going into their crude reserves.
Yes.
To begin to look at how to help Americans, reduce this effect global destruction that we have as a result of this war. So these are countries who understand that, look, things happen. It could even be natural disaster. It might not even be war. It could be natural disaster. It could be anything. So when these kind of things come, how do you help the people? How do you protect the people from the harsh realities that are going to come with it? So that's what the results are supposed to do. But here in Nigeria, where are the leaders to have that kind of forward-thinking arrangement to protect us? There's so much corruption in the oil sector. NNPCL is probably one of the most corrupt institutions that have ever existed in the history of the world. And that's the institution that's managing the oil process of the country. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not surprised that we are not protected in any way. There's no form of protection as we speak. None. And that's why Nigerians are calling on the president, to the glory of God at least. We have Dangote refinery. Have we?
Yes.
So can we work with Dangote? And that was why I was very hard on the presidency yesterday, when the report came out that they are looking at distributing 100,000 CNG kits. What was that? What was that one? It's just that CNG initiative, from several reports and findings, it's just money for the boys, chop things for the boys. The guy egging it used to be the APC national youth leader. I saw his post that he has gone to meet the president. He wants to distribute blah blah blah. That's just, they can be doing that on the sidelines. We understand the chop arrangement that comes with being a party member and chop money for the boys. But we are talking about the realities of Nigerians. This is no joke. I think the idea that Nigerians are buying at over 1,000 naira per liter and we have to do something to help them, and then the CNG conversation comes in, means that we're actually fapping around with Nigerians or probably mocking Nigerians. How does sharing 100,000 kids come into the conversation, at this time, when nations are already looking at how to help themselves? The IEA nations, in terms of energy security, are looking at bringing out crude oil from their reserves to at least stabilize things. America is talking about what it needs to do. The crisis is getting worse. It's not reducing. Iran is still talking about the fact that, from this Strait of Hormuz that we control, nothing is going to go through it. They've attacked different ships. About 14 ships have been attacked in that strait. The US is insisting that they know what to do, but in reality, from what is coming out from Washington, it appears that, look, they've lost the plot. They've gone into a war without an exit plan. So that's why I'm saying the only way out for Nigerians at this time now Yes, there's a bit of reduction, but it's painful that we are buying at over 1,000 naira per liter stage. Even at 800 naira, Nigerians were complaining. We've been complaining, we've been groaning, but now we have over 1,000 naira per liter. Look at the cost of diesel. Something has to be done, and it has to be something that is reasonable, something meaningful, something logical. Not 100,000 CNG kits. Any possible? How does that even make any sense? The cat is all the way we should say it. In the reality of what we are talking about.
Well, that is the situation. I don't believe that we have any reserve, or at least non-significant enough to sort of cushion the effect of this the situation we found ourselves. The alternative is the distribution of the CNG conversion kit without a commensurate amount of refilling stations, by the way, might I add.
See, if we are distributing 100,000 kits to one, who are we giving it to? What percentage of vehicles on the road with the 100,000 CNG kits take care of?
Yeah.
It does not just make any sense. Like I said, I don't bother myself with government initiatives that clearly gives free money to people wherever is handling it. What we are saying is that when it comes to the realities of Nigerians, when it comes to the pain and suffering that Nigerians are going through, can we be a bit more methodical, more reasonable, and logical? What we are saying is that, look, the subsidy that can happen temporarily can be done with Dangote.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have been told now that about 90-something% of whatever we use comes from Dangote.
Yeah.
So can't we have a very transparent subsidy regime temporarily with him? Give us at this price. We'll take care of the margin, at least for the meantime, until we have some level of stability.
Well, that is that. It's on the front cover of the Vanguard newspaper. Welcome if you're just joining us. This is Trans in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Sage Babalola Fᴏᴜᴜ, is our in-house analyst, and we're looking at our dailies. Well, different but slightly related. Iran to boycott 2026 World Cup despite Trump's safety assurance. I don't really think there's anybody in the world that takes Trump's word for anything. Anyways, Iran will not participate in the 2026 World Cup, co-hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico, as announced by the country's sports minister. According to Donyamali, Iran decided to boycott the tournament following the death of its former supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. Considering that this corrupt regime has assassinated our leader, under no circumstances can we participate in the World Cup, he says. I just wanted to put that out there. So Iran is saying they're not going to be participating in the World Cup because the US is involved.
Yeah, the political implications are there, national pride. Again, you wouldn't expect Iran to go to a country that has just participated in killing its leader,
right,
assassinating its leader, even for sake of national pride and identity and the establishment of what you call sovereignty of nations. You expect that they are going to have to do that. And unfortunately, it's not as if they are even playing the game outside America. They are playing right there in America. You see what is going on with their female team in Australia. There was this protest. Some of them did not sing the Iranian national anthem, and so they are thought that they will be threatened if they return home. I think about 6 or 7 female members of the team who are Iranians have decided to stay back. They are granted asylum in Australia. They were supposed to be sent back home, but Donald Trump came in and said, look, if you don't give them asylum, because they will be killed if you send them back home, I would do that in the US. So I think Australia has granted them asylum. And the Iranian government is saying, let them come back, or nothing will happen to them, So
everybody, nobody can trust anybody right now.
So, but whatever it is, I'm sure it might also be one of the reasons why they are saying, let our teams stay away from any international competition for now, not even a competition that will be hosted by the United States.
It's so unfortunate for outside. Something as small as this one, many might say, oh, it's just sports. But then sports, things like this, aside from trade and economic relationships, we have
bring nations together.
Bring nations together. This is how we connect with each other, remind each other that, yes, we might be on different continents, but we're still people first. But when relationships like this start to break down, it starts from sports, and then it goes to trade. And then next thing you know, it's just chaos all around. It's very, very unfortunate. And the fact that America, that is supposed to be the big brother of the world, is right at the center of this chaos is another heartbreaking part of this.
And that's why they are telling the FIFA president, this is your peace award that you gave to Trump.
Yeah, playing.
The man wanted Nobel Peace Prize. If I give him their own,
give him Nobel Peace Prize now that he has started.
He's a man of peace now. He's not a man of peace.
I do not, for the life of me, understand this unholy alliance between Donald Trump and Netanyahu. I did not at any point see that they would. I know that they had something of a relationship, whether the frenemy, if I to call it that, but I did not know that they would have a relationship this strong where they would be jointly attacking a nation. It never occurred to me for a side ever.
Well, I think people need to, again, Faith, I took about 2 hours out to check social media. So I stayed on TikTok, at least for the first time in about how many months now. And I've seen that it's not even about all these young girls dancing naked and what have you. You also have people who go into discussing serious issues. And if you look at the kind of rhetoric, the kinds of analysis you are having, the level of misinformation, disinformation on this US-Israel-Iran war,
right,
the kinds of narratives people are pushing out, and the kinds of reaction you get. They have a lot of followership, people who comment. The ignorance level is outstanding. Say it. And these are people on social media who claim to know, they say it with all manner of authority, and you see that the reaction also justifies the reason why people say, look, social media is a place where you have to be careful the kind of information you pick from it. People identifying as anything and everything on social media. You have pastors, for example, who are doing prophecies on the matter that is not anything, that's not even prophetic. People have all manner of things. Very interesting to watch, but very disturbing to know that, look, a lot of people don't even understand basic issues around some of this conversation, but it's just what it is.
Nigerians calling themselves Zionists online also. Please, do you even know? Forgive my unprofessionalism. Do you have any idea what that stems about?
What Zionism is all about?
You are in Jalingo and you're here saying you're a Zionist. What are you doing? It's unbelievable.
You have people with black identifying as Jews, for example.
What are you doing? Anyways, let's move forward. Well, as we have expected, Senate confirms Oyedele's appointment as minister. The Senate has approved the appointment of Taiwo Oyedele as the minister designate under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. The Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, announced the approval after lawmakers endorsed the nominee through a voice vote in the Committee of Whole. Oyedele is expected to succeed Mrs. Doris Uzoka Anite as Minister of State for Finance. The confirmation of the outgoing chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform followed his screening by lawmakers on Wednesday. So, Fuad, we have a new Minister of State for Finance.
Well, I don't know. I think he has a lot of work to do.
Indeed.
How well he's going to be able to use his experience in the private sector to help with our finances is what I don't know. Again, when appointments like these are made, one would think that they are KPIs, they are deliverables, from the president to them as they have been appointed. So we don't know. Because again, it's been a bit problematic. For example, Mr. Wale Edun, a lot of people have been questioning some of the revelations he's been giving out in recent time. Is he the one actually revealing a lot of things? He talked about our budget funding. Okay, we didn't fund anything, You people should not even disturb yourself. It was one that revealed that, a larger part of our capital expenditure component was not funded because there was no money. You understand? So, I don't know what Mr. Oyedele will be bringing into that space. What addition is going to come with, what innovation is going to come with, what is going to happen really at that level, if you understand. Because again, between our fiscal and monetary policies, there's a lot of, there's no convergence. Let me just put it that way. How do we have some form of convergence between what the CBN is doing at the monetary level and what our politicians are doing at the fiscal level, if you understand what I'm saying? So the convergence between our monetary and fiscal policies is one big task that we have to do. So whether Mr. Oyedele coming from the private sector will be able to help in that regard is what we'll be waiting to see. But he's not going to be dealing with politicians. He will be dealing with civil servants. Say it. It's a different kettle of fish. This one is a different thing entirely from whatever he must have learned while working in the corporate sector. This is the real deal. Working with politicians, civil servants, and in an extremely corrupt system, it will take the grace of God for him to succeed.
Indeed. I just wanted to double back a little bit. Somebody on Facebook said that we keep blaming Trump and Netanyahu, but we do not speak about the ideology brought by the Ayatollahs, which is to me, because if you've been listening to this platform, we've highlighted Khamenei and his ideologies. But the unfortunate thing there is that majority of Iranians seem to align with his ideologies. They seem comfortable. It's just like when America had this savior complex of for Afghanistan, right? And then at the end of the day, things became worse even after they left. It became rather a Taliban run state. How do you save people who do not think that they need to be saved is the conversation here. I just wanted to read that message to you, Fuad. So apparently we're Trump and we are Ayatollah apologists.
I will not bother myself. I understand perception problems, So when you can't help who does not want any help, really, when it comes to understanding how complex some of these issues are. You understand? For anybody who just wants to make it so basic, or who wants to oversimplify the issue by thinking, look, in the mind of the average person, it's a Muslim Christian war.
It's not religious.
And so, for the average person, so they think it's about the interest of Christians and Muslims. I've seen somebody, for example, in one of our radio stations here, somebody who put a lot of information out saying, he likes what US and Israel is doing. Just imagine an Iran having a nuclear weapon. They will misuse it. I just laugh. Hey, as basic as that, just imagine Iran having a nuclear weapon. They will misuse it.
North Korea has a nuclear weapon, and as unhinged as Kim is, I don't think
have they used it on anybody?
There are treaties, there are guidelines, there are regulations for countries that have these weapons.
And do you know why nobody has dared to attack North Korea?
Because they know balance of power. Balance of power actually is a pathway to peace.
I've told people, until there's balance of power, global balance of power, there won't be peace in the world. But if we have that balance of power, everybody will behave themselves. Why do you think, US, Russia can throw jabs, can disagree, but they will never directly attack themselves?
No.
Because they know that there's a balance of power, at least two. They are both nuclear powers. So just imagine Iran also being a nuclear power. Maybe there will be peace in the Middle East because there's balance of power, so everybody behaves themselves. You see that recently, even North Korea has been showing videos of Kim Jong-un testing his missiles.
Yes,
people said the guy is bored.
As a reminder that he does that a lot. Actually, he does that. He just casually tests weapons to remind the world.
And nobody has dared. They've been negotiating with him. Trump has gone there. They've met. So everybody just keeps him at arm's length. Everybody respects themselves. So this idea of saying, US is a nuclear power, Israel is a nuclear power, Iran should not be a nuclear because they are going to misuse. Are you saying the people, the leaders of US and Israel are angels and the people in Iran are demons? Abi?
Fuad, if they really wanted to show fairness, before that treaty, the one who kept nuclear power or prevented others from getting nuclear powers, the countries who had nuclear powers before that treaty should also have surrendered theirs. That would what fairness would be like. Surrender yours, keep yours, and nobody else must get.
So that's number one. Number two, are you aware that this same Iran is a signatory to the nuclear treaty? It opens itself up for inspection. Nuclear agencies come in, they check what it's doing. Are you aware that up till today, Israel is not a treaty to that nuclear treaty?
You can't check.
It's not a signatory to it.
You can't.
You don't even know what they have.
No.
You can't even check them. So you want to control the other person, but you are not controlled. Nobody should control you. And so, you see, like I said, this is a conversation that I don't really bother with, really, when it comes to making people understand that, look, we live in an unfair world. And for us to have global peace, I think there must be balance of power. So everybody just keeps still. Everybody behaves themselves.
Well, everybody has one, or everybody surrenders.
Let anybody come here and tell me which nation Iran has invaded to say they want to take over. And for you to think that, there are extremists in Iran in their ideology and thinking, you better go and read about the Zionist movement.
Yeah.
How extreme their views are. What do they talk about when they talk about greater Israel? What is the agenda when they talk about greater Israel? Before you come and have this kind of conversation and just sit with your myopic understanding of things and think it's about being one-sided. These things are too complex for you to understand. Just admit it.
Well, coming back to the conversation, the Minister of State for Finance has been appointed, as you said. What the KPIs would be, what specifically for our side would you say the KPI should be? What aspects of our finance particularly would you expect him to put at the fore?
Fiscal discipline, Sage. Fiscal discipline. this idea, because again, I think one of the push from this government from day one is we want to make more money. Revenue drive, they know how to do it. Again, this is a tax man. He's helped them to put up a document to make more money, right? So, but after making the money, about fiscal discipline, which goes into how we spend this money, the issues of corruption. Can it come up with a framework that ensures that monies are utilized properly to benefit the people? Now, what about the deployment of these resources to benefit Nigeria? Critical areas, critical sectors, not just feeding the overfed politicians who have all their 10 fingers in a national treasury. Look, we can tinker with monetary policy from now till tomorrow. Do everything we need to do to raise more revenue, expand the tax net, bring in more people, make all of the monies. But what about the judicious use of this money to better the living standards and the lives of Nigeria, which I call fiscal discipline? Look, Sage, year in, year out, we have a budget that fits only the interest of a few Nigerians. The current expenditure will push it up to about 99%. The most critical aspect of the budget is not funded. How do you explain a situation where there's a capital expenditure in the health sector for over 200 billion and we did less than 50 million? See? How? Just tell me, a sector as critical as the health sector, over 200 billion budgeted for capital expenditure, and we're only able to do about 30-something million naira. How does that make any sense? And it goes to other sectors. So that's why they said that, look, the capital expenditure component of the 2025 budget may not be funded to up to 17%. It's not even near 20%. Say. How does that make any sense?
Well, I think sectoral prioritization, we should draw up a scale of preference and know what we're doing. Security.
So can he help the government to do that with all his expertise? Yeah. Health, energy, education, infrastructure, agriculture. How do we fund these critical sectors?
Well, he definitely knows how to draw revenue. So we hope that he uses this skill and draw revenue to the relevant parts of the country. And let's maybe for once not pay too much attention to our recurrent expenditure and focus on the capital bit of our expenditure, so we can have some sort of. Anyways, he has skill, that's for sure. It's how he's able to use this skill now that he's operating in a public sector that will be the biggest challenge of his career. Trends in the papers, Mainland 98.3 FM. I'm Sage. Fᴏᴜ is still here. We're live on Facebook still, Mainland 98.3 FM. Thank you to everyone who's commenting and going along with us. We really like when you do that, so we know that you're following all the stories as we're going through them. We're going back to the Guardian now. 2027, Afenifere fault removal of certificate clause as reps amend electoral act. The rider reps criminalized dual party membership, proposed 10 million naira fine, 2-year jail term. Afenifere urges National Assembly to restore electronic transmission of result. Now, 3 weeks after President Bola Tinubu signed the Electoral Act 2026, controversies and uncertainties trailing the election guidelines for 2027 polls have refused to wane over concerns of alterations and provisions that may jeopardize the hitch-free conduct of the election. When parties are scrambling to meet strict deadlines set by the Independent National Electoral Commission, with the release of a revised timetable for the 2027 general election, the House of Reps on Wednesday approved the amendments to the Electoral Act seeking to expressly prohibit Nigerians from registering as members of more than one political party at the same time, while prescribing stiff penalties for offenders. The amendment, sponsored by the House Majority Leader, proposes a fine of 10 million naira, a 2-year prison term, or both for any person convicted of knowingly maintaining membership in multiple political parties simultaneously. The proposal was adopted after consideration at the Committee of Whole, presided over by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu. You'd pardon me for reading that much into the paper. I just wanted to be sure that we had all the facts right. So, as you know, there has to be an e-register for parties right now. There's even a deadline that must be submitted to INEC. Now, the amendment to the Electoral Act says that you cannot be a member of multiple political parties. If you are found to have dual membership, you pay a fine, 10 million naira. You could go to jail, or you could pay a fine and still go to jail for 2 years. Now, there's some members of the House who are arguing that this is an infringement of the provision of the Constitution that allows for freedom of association. If people want to be card carrying members of multiple parties, then by all means they should be able to do so. And they think the punishment is way too stiff, and they're trying to understand what exactly is the logic behind this stiff punishment for people who want to be members of multiple parties. Why must I belong to only one party? What significance to the electoral ideology does it serve at the end of the day? Fuad, can you help us explain why this is very essential, why this punishment is this stiff?
Say, are you aware that this aspect of the amended act does not really bother ordinary Nigerians?
All right.
Because as ordinary Nigerians, unless you want to be actively involved in political party affairs, you really don't have to even register with any political party to vote.
Just go there and do
on election. You just go and vote and leave the place. So it is only people who are interested, for example, in party primaries, party activities. You want to contest and what have you. You want to be escorts of a political party that should go and register normally. You are not bound by anything to go and register for a political party. Only when you think that, okay, for example, I've seen a few people who say, look, if you think Peter Obi is the right person for the ADC, and if the ADC at any time decides that they want to do direct primaries, you better go and register if you are desirous and obedient for ADC, so that you'll be able to participate in the primaries. You understand? Because it's going to be a game of numbers. The more members Obi has within the ADC who want to vote for him and who are registered as members of the party, the better his chances.
Right.
So, but for politicians who are complaining, it is because they want to be moving around. A lot of times, and that's why this law now may be a problem to some of them.
Right. They
will do primaries in one party. Send somebody else to go and hold, the placeholder arrangement.
In another.
So when they lose in this one, they will now come back to collect this one.
Chai.
So what the law has done is that, look, number one, you can't even do that. You must just be a member of a political party. So this idea of putting placeholders around, you understand?
Yes.
Where you lose here, you now go to other parties to go and pick up the ticket. It's not possible again. There are people who say, oh, this may affect the opposition, but even if it benefits the ruling party today, tomorrow too, they will also be bound by the rule. You understand what I'm saying? So I think what Nigerians are more interested in is how transparently we are going to be able to conduct the 2027 elections. The party should sort out all of these things. If you want to be a member of a party, be a member. Why do you want to be a member of multiple political parties at the same time? Why do you want to be a member? You want to be a member of the APC. You also want to register for the Accord. You want to register for PDP. Just one person. So that when you lose there, you go to the other one. So I think that, look, these are not the most important aspects of the Electoral Act for ordinary Nigerians. The most critical aspect of the act were the issue of e-transmission of results, how the elections will be conducted, transparency of how the results will be counted and transmitted. Those are the issues that Nigerians have thought that we're going to be talking about. But the National Assembly that left the amendment this late, they knew what they were doing. Because it's too late for anybody to do anything now, no matter what anybody says now. At this point, by April, May, we're already talking about party primaries. See. So where is the time to amend anything or change anything again now?
Well, there's still outrage over the removal of the certificate forgery as grounds for election petition. There's still a conversation that is happening. Why? That should still be ground.
That's actually the most ridiculous amendment that we saw in this 2026 amendment. Because what that has done now is that, you know what? Everybody can present fake certificate now. Yeah, so, and you cannot challenge it at the election petitions. Because in the past, it used to be a very good opportunity for people to contest people's results. You just put it up with the petition. Yeah, qualification and what have you. But now, you can't put it up as part of your election petition. You probably have to go and file a different case, and that one can be there till eternity. Election petitions are time bound, so it helps if you can prove the fact that, look, this man that I contested with forged the certificate. Well, here we are. That has been taken off.
Well,
would anybody change anything?
The Fᴜᴜ is displeased. They particularly are displeased.
They can be displeased, but would anything happen?
Well, it's been passed.
No, this National Assembly, do you think they will listen to anybody?
I mean, it's even too late to do any amendment because we will have to go right back through the Senate. It will have to go through legislation again.
So in reality, it's not too late. They can do. Look at the speed by which they amended and signed it off now. If they want to do it, they can do it in a week.
Well,
but they will not do it. They are not ready to do it, and that's why they left it late, so that they can also pretend to say, oh, there's even no time for anybody to do anything. Look, they've moved on. They knew what they did. They've moved on. I think Nigerians should move on. Let us focus on the election.
Wait, you allow me once again. This is important because I really need, because I know when we start taking phone calls, you'll not be with us. That's why I'm bringing this up right now. So now I'm going to read this to you. Fuad said Iran has not attacked any country. So who sponsors Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis? I love your analysis, but you are biased when it comes to Trump, Israel, and conservative. Your station is pushing Democrats' views and trying to make everybody hate the conservatives and Trump. Iran is the top sponsor of terror in the world. Everybody knows this. They don't hide it. Their primary goal is to destroy Israel. North Korea, for your information, will be restrained by China when push turns to shove.
North Korea will be restrained by China.
Who can restrain Iran? That's the message.
Really?
So I'm just going to put it on your decks too.
Well, the thing is this. We are putting a democratic agenda where, perhaps when it comes to Iran, like I said, these are issues that are too complex to begin to have a back and forth over it, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Who is sponsoring terrorism? People need to understand that, look, you sit back here, right? And think that, look, on the other side, these are terrorists. So some people they represent, they see them as freedom fighters, right? Now, I've talked about this singular narrative, this framing, the international framing of issues. If a Muslim goes ahead to kill people, bombs people, they call it Islamic terrorism, right?
Right.
But when you see a Christian, somebody who identifies as a Christian, who does the same thing, picks up a gun and shoot people en masse, have you ever seen anywhere they call the person a Christian terrorist? The reality is that terrorism is terrorism. Extremism is extremism. If you condemn it on one side, condemn it on the other side. Look, can this person who is putting out this statement come out to say that, look, the way Israel has prosecuted the war in Gaza should not be condemned? Killing children, there are no rules of engagement, bombing residential areas. Close to 100 people who have died in Gaza now are mostly women and children. So, when you open up the conversation, look, you probably need to go and read why no U.S. president has decided to go ahead to attack Iran. They've been negotiating with them. They've been talking to them. So, it's not for me to say, okay, what is the ideology of the conservatives now? The same conservatives in the U.S. they are talking about. Immigration, the barefaced racism, that the racist ideology they are pushing around. Is that what you want me to be talking about here?
Well,
where in the issue, where on the issue of immigration they are even killing their own people? Where a president will come in the public and demonize an entire race? No, if you think the Trump standard is the standard you want to go with when it comes to leadership, it's your choice. I don't just think that is a standard that I would want to abide by or promote. In terms of leadership, you want me to promote the Trump standard? It's not going to happen. It's not me. You have a choice. If you think in terms of leadership, Trump is your standard, it's your choice. I don't just see it as a standard. I'm sorry.
Well, let's come back to our own national issues. ICPC secures court order to detain El-Rufai for another 14 days. In continuation of his investigation, a Chief Magistrate Court in Buhari, Abuja has granted the Independent Corrupt Practice and Other Related Offences Commission permission to detain former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai for additional 14 days to enable the agency conclude its probe into alleged money laundering and abuse of office. That's the information.
Said, I'm still hoping that I've spoken to quite a number of legal luminaries and what have you to say, look, how do you explain a situation where the ICPC says they got a petition against El-Rufai and so they are still investigating, but you've arrested him, say, and you've kept him in your custody? Because again, my mind is that, look, before arrest, you conclude your investigation. You can have conversations with him. You can search his house. You can do all manner of things. And by the time you knock at his door to put him in, within 24, 48 hours, he should be having his day in court. But this idea of arresting people, you've gotten a petition, you are still investigating the petition, and you have already arrested the person. See? And then you go ahead in court to begin to demand for you to keep the person for this number of days because you are still... And that's why at the end of the day, they are not even able to prove anything when they get to court. They are not able to prove anything. most of the time they bungle the cases because it's about persecution. It's not really about diligent prosecution. The person has a petition has been written against him. You've arrested him now, and you are still saying that you are investigating. So on what basis did you arrest him? Just on the basis of petition. Can you arrest somebody because there's a petition written against the person when you have not even established the fact that there's something substantial about the petition? I'm not speaking for El-Rufai. I've said this severally. He may also have abused power when he had access to power. But we cannot justify the wrong of yesterday. You cannot wrong of yesterday to justify the wrong of today.
Well, they've been allowed the 14 days. I think his own suit alleging human rights violation for the search of his property has been moved to, I think, March 24, 26, thereabout. So he also has a case against the ICPC, the search of his property and others that has been adjourned, and the ICPC have been granted the permission. That's not the word, but the permission to hold him longer for 14 days more. Anyways, as we round off the conversation, still looking at The Guardian, presence of African fighters in Ukraine war challenges Russian narrative. Reading from prepared text at a press conference held in Abuja on the 10th of February, Andrew Podolyansky, the Russian ambassador to Nigeria, denied that Russian government is recruiting Nigerians to fight in its war against Ukraine. But victim testimonies, diplomatic report, government warnings show that the Russian Federation has indeed shown a consistent recruitment pattern in its army. The Russians secretly hired several Africans, including Nigerians, into the national army to fight in Ukraine. Adamu Abubakar is a case study, a former officer with the Nigerian Navy and native of Kano who applied for a 90-day tourist visa, and he was made to believe he was going for a private civilian security job in Russia and will be paid $2,000. But upon reaching, he was forced to sign a contract written in Russia and was conscripted into the Russian army. This conversation is coming back. An investigative report had come out that Nigerians were being deceived and made to fight in the Russia-Ukraine war. Many of them being told that they were going for private security jobs, amongst other things. Yeah. But getting there, most of their contracts were written in Russia. They did not have the opportunity for an interpreter, nothing of the sort. They were made to sign, and ultimately they were recruited into the Russian army and are made to take the fall of the Russian-Ukraine war. That's what the Guardian is saying.
Yeah, of course, there are enough reports and facts to the fact that Russia is desperate to get into the battlefield. You know, Russia largely controls the media space in Russia. Yeah. A lot of times, they're not able to get the actual situation of things with this war. This was a war they thought they would have ended within 2 weeks. See, it's over 4 years they are still fighting the war without any tangible achievement. And that's why people are saying that, look, you can start a war. If you don't have an exit plan, you might be locked down fighting the war for years. So as it stands, people are saying that Russia is desperately in need of people to be at the battlefront, and what they are doing is to go on ahead to different parts of the world to recruit people illegally, deceive them that they are going for work, and people are desperate. How do you even sign a contract that you don't even understand the language by which it is written? You sign something and you don't even know what is written there. And there are enough reports. I think I've seen like 2 pictures of Nigerians who have died, fighting this war, in the Russian army uniform. People have to be careful. It's not only Russia. All these people who just want to jump at any offer abroad, go to any country, anywhere in the world. They don't want to care. They don't want to check it out. There's modern slavery. There's also organ harvesting. See, you are talking about illegal recruitment into army now to go and fight a war. Yeah. What about the issue of organ harvesting? You go into countries, you go there, they hold you down, harvest your organ.
And sex trafficking as well of minors.
There's sex trafficking. There's modern day slavery. I told you, my last time in Cairo, and I don't think the Nigerian government is doing anything about it, because by the number of people I saw on that day, and they said it's almost like a daily thing. I told you, I landed in Cairo only to discover that there are about 40 young Nigerian girls going into Egypt to go and do what they call shagala. Shagala is like a house girl, housemaid. And there are people who sponsor them. They pay for their tickets, they pay for their visas, and they are made to serve for maybe 3 or 4 years under very terrible conditions. And on my return back from Cairo, I met some of the girls who had stayed in Cairo for 2-3 years, and the stories they told me, it's unbelievable.
Well, Fuad, we're pressed for time. We have to go. That's that report. But I just want to mention in passing, today is World Kidney Day, and the Guardian is pushing forward the cost of care. Dialysis is about 80,000 per session, and transplants is as high as 30 million naira. Obviously, for not being able to afford the treatment or the transplant, a number of people, mortality figures from kidney problems have skyrocketed. More people are dying because they cannot afford the treatment, and it's such a painful thing to read. But our heart goes out to all of those who are struggling. I think we recently lost somebody even after we had tried to raise some money even here. So that's the situation with our healthcare for outside, people not being able to afford it, and mortality figures going up as we commemorate World Kidney Day. Thank you for your analysis.
And just 10 seconds for the person saying Trump is the golden standard. So what he did in Venezuela was also planning to attack another country. So Venezuela was also a threat to Israel. Venezuela was trying to attack another country. For him to have gone there to arrest the president, keep the regime in place, take over their oil. So that's also what we should permit internationally. In the name of what?
Well, he actually responded and said, show me anybody that has killed people and shouted in the name of Jesus. Okay. I think that's...
let me not bother.
Thank you, Fuad, for your analysis. I will be back in another 10 minutes.
Let's do it.